Today we're going to teach you how to think. I was actually quite moved. I was listening to a lecture at Cedars-Sinai's in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, and a gentleman was talking about really rethinking the aging process altogether. I wrote a little blog about this, but I thought it's not disseminating that information well enough. So what I want to talk to you today about is what exactly he said. So what I try to do when I do rejuvenation is match reality, okay? And so using old photographs is very helpful. The next step beyond just using an old photograph to make you not look different is actually to superimpose that photograph over your existing face. So what I found with this gentleman's study was he looked at a 60-year-old face and he superimposed it on a female's, or their own self's face at 20. And what he found was very interesting. What has the effect of gravity? Is it the brow? Is it the eyelid? Is it the cheek? Is it the lower eyelid? Is it the jawline? And what was interesting was that the brow, in most cases, either didn't fall or fell about 1 millimeter. And what was interesting about that is 1 millimeter is almost nothing. But 3 to 4 to 5 millimeter elevation is too much. And so the concept is brows don't fall as much as we pick them up. Therefore, I have not done a brow lift in a long, long time. The other interesting thing is looking at the lid-cheek interface, that using these superimposed photographs, there was no drop in the eyelid to cheek interface at all, not even 1 millimeter. There was no change there. So the lid and the mid-face do not fall. So if it does not fall, why are we lifting it? There's a real problem. The other thing that was really intriguing to me is looking at the eyelid shape. The eyelid shape in youth is almond-shaped, almost Asian eye, very long in its shape and long in its contour. But as we get older, the eye actually begins to shrink inward and become rounder. What's interesting about a rounder eye is the fact that a brow lift, an aggressive upper eyelid, and any kind of canthus, this area here, distortion where it pulls inward, further rounds and exposes the eye and actually makes you look older and unusual. So because we cannot lengthen the eye shape without creating this kind of weird rounding, how do we create the illusion of length that's there in youth? What's interesting is, as I said, lifting and cutting actually creates more of an uglier look that is not even youthful, but the antithesis of youth, that is aging. So how do we do that? Is actually filling fat into the lateral brow to visually extend the eye length to create youth in that fashion. The other very interesting thing was that the jawline, this is going to blow your mind because it blew mine, is that the jawline does not fall, it goes up. I'm going to repeat that. The jawline does not go down, it goes up. Now, how is that possible? Come on, doc, I have this big jowl. Is that something that you're going to tell me I don't need a facelift for? Well, if it's actually fully descended and the neck is hanging, yeah, you need a facelift. But what was interesting is that a mini jowl is actually there because the jawline has actually retreated upwards and exposed bone. So that's what's so remarkable with rethinking the aging process, because what we think a priori in our head, because we're intellectual creatures, is entirely wrong. What seems obvious to us is wrong. What is the obvious thing? Oh, my brows are heavy, cut it and lift it, will worsen you. I've got a bag, suck it out, will worsen you. Pull this back, tighten it because it's too loose. Look at when I do the 2-finger pull, it looks better. No, it doesn't. It makes you look like a freak. So I want you to start looking at analysis of your old photos, but what's more impressive than an old photographic analysis is superimposition of your face at 60 compared to when it was at 20 using computer modeling. Very, very interesting. The other result of the study that I thought was actually brilliant was looking at moles. If a mole was on your face at 20 and a mole's on your face at 60, wouldn't that tell you that the skin has fallen, right? Because if your assumption is that if the mole would fall 1, 2, or 3 centimeters, that's a reflection of gravity. What the study found actually was no moles fall at all. They don't drop. There's no physical descent of a mole down the face. In fact, most cases the moles don't even move. The only time a mole migrates is horizontally inward, because that's the movement of muscle pull, and that's the movement of a face undergoing deflation. So this is all very interesting, is because a lot of the assumptions we have about gravity are entirely incorrect. And that's why when you come to me with two fingers going like this, I'm not going to do that, because it's not what reflects reality. We have to start understanding reality and understanding youth. Now, obviously, beyond reality, if the results don't stand up, that's a problem. But what I've done now is anything from here to here doesn't get pulled up. It looks dreadful. I actually bring back the attention to the eyes by framing it appropriately. So anyways, that was a short synopsis of really rethinking gravity and pulling yourself out of a priori thinking that is actually flawed because we don't know empirically what's in reality.